Hey guys, Mental Health Awareness Week, the hashtag to follow it is hashtag MHAW15. Today I'm going to be talking about self-harm and, like, in the broad sense of the word, or the words, self-harm is anything that causes yourself harm, or that you do to cause yourself harm. And, like, I don't want to say glorifies, because like it's not something we should look up to doing. More something should look up to getting rid of, or like getting the stigma away from. And sort of there's two things that people sort of like really think of when you say that you self harm. If like someone says that they self harm, and that is like the ultimate thing that people think of is, oh, they cut themselves. Not always. I mean, sometimes yes, and that is the one that people do more, which I think is why people know more about it, because it's done the most. Or, like, it gets put in the media, oh, someone like is now cutting themselves. There is other forms of self-harm, but and like, I had to look this up because I wasn't sure whether it'd fall under it, but you can technically harm yourself by developing an eating disorder, but really not always, because you don't decide to like now have an eating disorder. It just happens over time. Um, and self-harm is where you decide, not where you decide, but like where you feel that it's appropriate. Like whether it's to feel something, to feel nothing, or like to feel happy or whatever, feel relief. Like is you then decide to self-harm, but you don't decide to have an eating disorder, so they can coexist or replace each other. Like you could say, okay, I'll try and be self-harm free, and in doing that, you then develop an eating disorder, or you can sort of like have both, but because you have the eating disorder, is you then self-harm because of that. But generally, an eating disorder doesn't come under self-harm, which sucks. And a YouTuber, which I have mentioned before, Katie Morton, I think I mentioned her on Tuesday's video, with depression, is she'd said about it, and it's hard, but self-harm isn't just cutting, but that's the one that's like betrayed most. And 1 in 10 people will self-harm by taking tablets, by cutting themselves, by burning, by piercing their skin or something, or by swallowing some sort of object. And like, it sucks that people feel that they need to self-harm, but it happens and we need to address the issue. But because people don't realise, and they only really realise cutting and burning, they don't really think of anything else as self-harm, is we can't address the issue until people are more aware about it. And it's kind of surprising, but kind of not, is that it's more common amongst young people, women, if you're gay or bisexual, and in some subcultures, is you're more likely like to be targeted because of it, and then you self-harm. And if you want to find out why people self-harm, more of the reasons why. There's a really cool website called RC Psych, that has an rcpsych.ac.uk. So I'll link it down below. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. And that will tell you more about why people self-harm, but I'll sort of talk a bit more about how people self-harm, or like how many people self-harm, and like there's multiple reasons really. I'll touch on it, but it could be to show people how much they're hurting, and that's not always used, and it's not sort of like one of the main reasons, but it could be to show people I am actually hurting, like inside, and I am now displaying that outwards. It could be to get relief from pain, or it could be to feel like you're getting a sense of control over your body or your emotions. Sorry, I've just had a notification pop up. And, yeah. So that's like a few of the reasons as to why people self-harm. In other ways that you can self-harm is like through burning yourself. Through like, well, I don't know if it falls into under it technically, but is you can sort of like by having I can't say this actually at all. I don't really know how to say it, so I'll say sort of like the shortened form. I'll try and say the full form, and you might know what I'm talking about. Is trichomania or something. It's something like trich. Is how it's usually referred to, and that's where you sort of like pull your hair out, and you can't stop that. Well, I say you can't stop it. It's while you have it. It's just. It's like something that you have, but like even if you try and stop it, it's really hard to. As you could self-harm through like taking pills or like maybe trying an overdose. Like that's kind of assumed to be like a suicide attempt, but it could also be harming yourself, like taking pills that you're not meant to take, like, or taking more of a pill that usually if you take the normal doses would be fine, but if you take like too much, it could then like hurt yourself. I'll kind of link back to it, but about the eating disorder being self-harm, it could sort of be like with purging, is when you actually purge the food back up, which I know sounds horrible, but is that you're then self-inflicting the harm on your inside of trying to bring everything up, and it just destroys your insides if you keep doing it. And one thing with like another way of self-harming is, and again, I'll see if I can find the actual video, but probably not. I'll just link it to their channel. Again, it's Katie Morland, but she's so good because she's a licensed therapist. Okay, it's in the state of California, but generally they don't change that much. The regulations of how you treat it might slightly change, but because she's actually a licensed therapist, she's so good. So I'll probably link to her a few times as well. But she said that by talking down to yourself, is you can then be harming your brain by thinking less of yourself. And like, okay, how do we then treat self-harm, is one of the more common ways to try and do it is through CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy. Like, cognitive is to, like, do with your brain and like how you think. So sort of like trying to change your thoughts. So I'm trying not to talk about this too much because, as I say, I mean, I'm going through CBT therapy, but as I'm not a professional in it, so as it tries to change the way you're thinking, like your negative thoughts, and it focuses on like your current situation. It doesn't focus on your past. It's just like basically what it does is, okay, this has happened in our past, and it's not that we'll focus on trying to beat that. Is we won't try and almost help you get over it, but is we'll, okay, because of this event happening, so like say that you're like abused in your past, like when you were a child or something, we won't try and help you get over being abused, but how you react to when you were abused. We'll try and change that. So because you, like, say you were abused by your dad or just generally your parents, is okay. You might not you might not be able to like form relationships with adults because you think that they could abuse you, and it won't try. CBT doesn't try and change that you can't really form relationships. Is it, well, okay, because you can't seem to form relationships, how you react with that is it will try and change your thoughts about it, so you can then form relationships. And it's been shown to help with many different types of mental illnesses, and the sorts of things that includes is it's helped with anxiety, depression, like panic disorders, phobias, like including agoraphobia, I think I said it right, and like social phobias, stress, bulimia, OCD, PTSD, bipolar, and psychosis, and DBT. This will be the last thing that I really talk about in today's video, because like this is the longest video and I thought it would be the longest. Is DBT talks about your problems, and it can, like, you've got like more sort of like homework to be done. So let's say you go, like, because I'm with like school counsellor at the moment, is like she gives a little bit of homework because I'm doing CBT, but if I was doing DBT, she can like find out more about it, is like they'll give you more stuff to work, like to do outside of the lesson, and that means that it's hard work, but usually using DBT it'll mean digging up your past trauma, which can be hard for people, obviously. And treatment usually lasts for DBT between 6 weeks and 6 months, and CBT usually lasts, here in the UK at least, between 6 to 10 weeks. But again, okay, so I've finished with the video, but again, if you want to find out more about Mental Health Awareness Week, the hashtag is MHAW15. Hope you have a nice day. Please follow the rest of the week with me. Yeah, please get involved with it. People need to be made more aware about mental health awareness. And peace. Hope you have a nice day, rest of the week, and follow this. Bye.